always good to talk to you, Azeem. Tonight, a bit more of a serious tone than we're used to talking about, I think. We're discussing the year anniversary of Chris Benoit's death and the murder of his family. I was just telling the viewers here and kind of building up to this interview that we were questioning a year ago how much Benoit's death would affect the wrestling business. Some people thought that it was pretty much the end of wrestling. I don't think that materialized. In your opinion, Azeem, as a professional wrestler, and I have to admit it hurts me, a pretty good one, what has the impact of Chris Benoit been 1 year later?
Well, the impact is still there in professional wrestling from the Benoit tragedy, and hopefully this is the last time any of us ever hear of this ever happening, not just wrestling, but anywhere. It's still places where I go, it's still being talked about, wrestlers or the use of steroids, and, it affects especially the indie pro wrestling scene as promoters go out there and try and get sponsors for shows and have more shows and bring out other guys. And then there's always a question, about drug use in the professional wrestling. And it still sticks with me. And Fred, you've seen the shows, and I'm not going to call any names out here, but a certain ex-wrestler or wrestler that still continues to shoot his mouth off keeps going on about skinny and how we have no business being in the professional wrestling business at all. And that also puts added pressure on skinny guys. I'm not going to call any names out here, but to use steroids and stuff like that, which I think is completely wrong, and for that person to do so.
Right. Now, that's definitely true, and that's a valid point. I mean, there is a lot of pressure. We know Vince McMahon likes his guys to be pretty big and pretty buffed out.
It's no secret that Vince likes, larger-than-life characters in his ring.
Yes. That, of course, makes it difficult for someone like yourself who maybe not blessed with the most genetically enhanced physique to break into the business, even if it's what you really, really want. And it might lead to the temptation of going down a certain road you don't want to go down, which, of course, is how Chris Benoit ended up in the spot he ended up in. That's kind of a scary prospect.
Yeah, it's a very scary prospect. Like you said, I'm not the world's biggest guy, and I don't think I ever will be. But I train as hard as any other guy out there, or just as hard as other guys out there, to be a pro wrestler. I'm in the gym 5-6 times a week, and same with other guys too. And sometimes sometimes you just gotta blame it on genetics. Sometimes it's there for you guys, sometimes it's not. But there's other ways about going about it, getting the size that you want, other than going the steroid route.
No, it's true, actually. As funnily enough as it is, I had the opportunity to speak to Sid Salem after the Vancouver show, and he's a guy I've known for like 5-6 years. And he was just a skinny little guy when I met him the first time, and he's huge now compared to what he used to be. And we're not talking like 280 pounds. We're talking still about 200 to 210, whatever. But he's just a lot bigger. You can tell he's worked hard. And I know that, knowing Sid as well as I do, that he's done it the natural way. He hasn't tried to cheat. He hasn't tried to circumvent the way things are supposed to be done. And I look at that and I say, that's the efforts of hard work. But he's still, really small to Vince standards. And it must be frustrating for him and for you, I would imagine, to kind of work as hard as I know you guys have to get to where you are and still kind of fall short a little bit of what these unrealistic expectations are.
Yeah, it's tough. Like when you go out there and you, as an indie wrestler, try to promote yourself and try and work for another company, and the promoter has no idea what you look like, or it's only heard word of mouth. I'll give you an example. It happened to me into a promotion in the States there. I believe it was this year. He heard a little bit about me, and I sent emails back and forth saying, "I never saw a picture of me whatsoever." And then he asked another professional wrestler that shall remain nameless, because I don't want to put anybody's name out there, even though I should, but I won't, about me. And that wrestler pretty much said that I was quote unquote skinny, and I should be stacking chairs, and not have no business in the ring.
Wow.
Yeah. So it does hurt, but you know what? I chalk it up as, well, it's that promoter's loss, not having, say, me or another guy that's not as built as, say, a Scotty Mack or a Cole Bishop to that degree. But, even guys like Scotty Mack, I mean, they're so supportive of the quote-unquote skinnies.
Yeah.
They don't encourage us to, you fall victim to the steroids and all that. They just keep encouraging us. They don't fall victim to the guys that keep calling you skinnies and stuff like that. They have no business. And I'll give you a point here. ECW just put on the Pacific Cup tournament,
Yes.
And that's a mere junior heavyweight thing. And a wrestler, I'm not going to mention any names once again, but said that would never, ever fly in pro wrestling ever. No one was going to pay money to see Butch and Skinny battle out. But to this day, for the last 6-7 years, it's been ECW's biggest show and the biggest draw in the Pacific Northwest.
No, it absolutely has been. And as I said earlier, the junior heavyweight division in Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling is nothing short of awesome. And these guys are just insanely talented from top to bottom.
TLC as well.
Yeah.
All those guys in TLC were all junior heavyweights.
Yeah.
And they've all been called skinnies and then comments being thrown out that they never make it. But honestly, Fred, I'm not sure if you were there at that show, but it drew mega.
I was at the TLC match, and it stands as maybe one of the best matches I've ever seen ever. And you're right, it was completed by a bunch of guys who are barely at the 200-pound mark, some below, some barely over, and guys who are not tall, not larger than life, just going out there and doing what they love to do. It was mesmerizing. It was a breathtaking match. And as I said, I continue to say it. I've said it from the very beginning. Our local promotion here, Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, breeds some of the best talent in all of North America. And you're right. Some of these guys are just not going to get a break because of the fact they're not larger than life. And they're not to the level of Chris Benoit. And the reason they're not at the level of Chris Benoit is because they don't want to end up like Chris Benoit did. And it's still, apparently, from what you're telling me, people haven't changed their mind and said, oh, well, you know what we really need to do? We need to stop looking at getting all these larger-than-life characters. We start looking at guys who maybe are not as big as Chris Benoit. We should start looking at people that way and get the people who have more natural talents. You're telling me that's not really happening. I mean, the Benoit effect hasn't changed the pivotal mindset in promoters' minds.
No, it really hasn't, and it's really a shame. I'm not saying promoters that much, but the general public, when they hear professional wrestling, the main thing they're thinking of is steroids, and which guys are on steroids and which guys aren't, and it really is a shame because when we used to go hang up posters for Vancouver shows and all that, there's a lot of places now that won't accept wrestling posters in their store to advertise the event because of the whole Chris Benoit scandal.
Really?
Yeah, and it really sucks.
Well, what do you say to them? Like, how do you try to argue with them when they say that? I mean, what defense do you have?
Well, what I say to them is just like, that's Chris Benoit's one side. That's not happening with our guys. Give us a chance. Like, I heard Disco's interview last year, and that's what I said to him. Give us that one chance. What have you got to lose? Give us that one chance. That actually worked for me one time with one guy. I just give us one chance. I comped his ticket. Come on down, take a look at our show, see our product, see what I got. And to that day, that happened 10 months ago. And that guy has come to our show ever since then, collecting posters and putting it up in his stores. It's been great. It'd be a lot easier if people were more open-minded to what's going on with us.
Well, absolutely, that would make a difference. But I guess he's in the minority. These guys are just saying, some of these people are just saying no, I don't want to be involved with a bunch of steroid monkeys.
Pretty much, yeah. And it really is a shame. Like, to my knowledge, nobody on that roster is on any type of illegal substance whatsoever.
Well, that's my understanding. And being a wrestling journalist, if I knew it, I would say it. I'm not aware of any illicit drug use by anyone in the locker room. And from top to bottom of the entire roster, ECCW, every single one of them, I think they're fantastic. Every one of them has my complete and total respect because I've seen what they're capable of doing. I've seen how hard they've had to work at what they've had to accomplish, and it bugs me that people still one thing happens and all that hard work just doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, it really does suck. But you know what? We're still striving. We're still going out there, putting on shows, no matter how many people are in that crowd, whether it's 10 people or 100 people or 500 people. We're still doing what we do because we love it.